Welcome to Passages, the podcast where life gets deep, friendship gets real, and the wisdom of the Bible flows, usually right after a debate about tacos and Bigfoot. Join Patrick Birch, Drew Kaiser, Jason Pulliam, and Tim Layton as they explore Scripture, share great quotes, and occasionally get sidetracked by snacks and bad preachers.
We shall meet, but we shall miss him. There will be one vacant
It's awful lonely in here tonight.
We shall
Big room tonight. Just a few rooms. Just two of us.
when we breathe.
We've done this before.
It's been
Just
a
you and
while.
I.
It's been a while.
It wasn't our most popular episode.
Yeah, I think it was probably our least listened to episode.
We're coming out of the corner fighting tonight, though. I mean, I think we're going to do good. You know, I know our listeners are probably tired of this Andy Griffith clip, but I love it so much.
And frankly, we're tired of having to play it a lot. But with the four of us, we live pretty busy lives,
Yeah.
and we're going to be gone sometimes. And it is a perfect clip. We don't play it long enough for Otis at the end to say, "I don't want to die." But that's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Tonight, Tim is a little under the weather still. He came up to me after Bible study and he said, "I'm going to go home." And I thought that was probably wise of him.
Yeah.
And then Patrick he's traveling the world right now. I can't remember where he is.
Why are you so old?
Is that
It's happening to all of us. We're all getting old.
Was that about Tim?
Well, I said it's happening to all of us.
But right after I talked about Tim not feeling well, oh man.
well,
I mean, he is the elder statesman in the room.
he would agree.
Boola boola, okay?
That's why we gave him tassels on his shorts and the logo, though, to make him look younger.
Yeah. Oh, now he's going to hate that comment more
he
than
is.
the age comment.
That is true. I'm sorry, Tim.
Well, tomorrow is a day that I've been waiting on for a long time. It's the release date of my first novel, Out of the Thicket. And you're one of a few people who have already read it ahead of the release date. But tomorrow, everybody can get their hands on it. So I've been excited about it. It's being released on Amazon and Riddle Creek Publishing. You can get it in paperback format or Kindle. And I thought I'd just kind of set it up and tell people what it's about a little bit. And since you've read it, it's been a long time since you've read it, but you might chime in here or there with a few things that you remember. But the basic setting is kind of like the Old Testament, but I don't use any actual Old Testament names or places or people. It's strictly a fantasy, a fictional story. It's not historical fiction because I don't hold myself to the factual geographical locations of the Bible or anything like that. But I just, they say write what you know. And so I know a lot of Old Testament Bible background. I picture these places in my mind from childhood, and it was fun to write in that. And it also opens up a lot of possibilities and allows me to deal with things that are important to me, such as faith and the perceived silence of God, questions about the unknown, about life and death, courage, coming of age, adolescence, all that stuff is in this book, and especially the idea of sacrificial love. The backdrop of this book is a supernatural event where every 12-year-old boy mysteriously vanishes on the same day every year in this town called Yana. I wanted to share with you where that idea came from.
I'd love to know that.
I don't think I've ever told you this, but I know exactly when it hit me. It was our first deep youth conference. We've talked about it on the podcast before. It's a thing that we enjoy here every September. And this was September 2021. The lights were low, the kids were singing, and this image flashed into my head of a young boy with his parents on either side of him, embracing him, sitting on the floor, and then the boy vanishes.
That during deep, yeah.
It's just flashed into my head.
Have you talked to your wife about that? And
yeah.
Okay. And
I have a theory.
Did she say, how did that make you feel? And those kind of questions?
Well, I have had the comment after reading my stories, and some who have read my novel say, "Are you okay?" Or, "Why? I didn't know those things were in your head." Well, I'm about to give you my theory about where these things come from. Now, some would say, well, that's the Spirit or God gave that to you. I don't think it's good enough to attribute it to God. It's just not that good.
I was thinking indigestion, some bad sushi.
Maybe that.
No.
But I've heard people say that about their own work. There's one guy in particular I'm thinking of who said he was inspired. No, sir, you're not inspired.
No.
I'm not inspired. Nobody today is inspired. So take that off the shelf. It is weird how it just popped in my head, though. So one device that a lot of writers use is they talk about their muse. Have you heard people
I've heard
speak
the
of a
term,
muse?
but I don't know.
Muse is a mythological character that inspires art, and it's basically a pagan version of God gave this to me. But it's more playful the way artists and writers talk about their muse and composers. For example, we both like Tom Waits. Tom Waits was talking about his muse, and he said he was in traffic in LA one day, and this great idea for a song popped into his head. And he spoke to the muse, and he said, "Leave me alone. Why can't you come when I'm spending 6 hours a day in the studio? Come back when I'm in the studio." And then he just went on his way. And it's a device because it helps writers just relax and say, it'll come to me when it comes to me. The idea will present itself in its mysterious way, and I don't have to figure out where it came from. I'm just going to chalk it up to the muse and move on. And there's some comfort in that, but that's not really what's happening. So here's what I think's happening. I think things bubble up from the subconscious. Think of the subconscious as a stew that's always kind of on simmer, down deep inside you, working in ways you don't even know it's working. And what bubbles up depends on what the ingredients are in your stew. Now, the ingredients are the things you consume: social media, movies, music, books, relationships, scripture, thoughts, nature, all these things. And some people put like Twinkies and Skittles and rubber tires into their stew. And so when it bubbles up, they don't really get good ideas or interesting ideas. The things they talk about are pretty superficial. And then some people put, literature and art and music and scripture into their stew, and it's better ingredients. And so when something splashes up from the depths of your subconscious, it might be worth looking at and studying. How does the heat get turned up so that it boils enough to move from your subconscious to your conscious? Well, for me, it was the beautiful singing of our young people during that worship service. I think that was something that just kind of caused something to splash up that had been working in my soul deep down for a long time. Dreams are a way, you relax to a point, your mind goes to a different place, your subconscious appears. It's like the muse because it's very, very jumpy. If it knows you're trying to chase it, it'll run away and hide. So you have to be patient and just wait. So I'm kind of, what's the word? Demytholize. Say it, Jason. Taking the myth out of the
you're removing
process.
the myth. You're pulling
There's a-
back the curtain. You're showing the wizard, the man behind
Yes,
the curtain.
yes.
Yeah.
If Patrick were here, he could look up the word and have it pronounced to us, but he's not here.
I wasn't even going to attempt it.
I don't know why I did.
If you couldn't get it out, I knew I had no chance.
I'm taking the magic out of the process, but I really think that that's what's happening. And I'm interested in that because I want to write more stories. And in order to do that, I got to consume good things. I got to be careful about what films I watch, what books I read, what music I listen to, because that's the stuff, the experiences I have, the relationships I have, that's the stuff that's going to boil up in the creative process. And people have asked me, where do you get your ideas and how can I get ideas? That's my only advice is consume good stuff or consume stuff like what you want to do. And you're not copying it. You're not even imitating it exactly. The right word is you're inspired by it and it comes out. So
Can I interrupt and ask a question?
yes.
So
Please.
when you're in deep and that idea pops in your head, how do you keep from forgetting it? Did at that moment you stop and write it down? Did you take a moment to, because we all have those moments when you're kind of zoned out, riding in a car, listening to music, whatever, where an idea pops in your head. For me, it happens a lot when I'm asleep at night. I wake up in the middle of the night. There's an idea. I keep a notebook by the bed, make notes there. I've made them in my phone before. But in that moment, how did you take that and think, okay, this is a concept, an idea that I can work with? Because if it was during deep and singing, there was more to come. You were going to be in there for another 30, 45 minutes. How did you not lose that idea?
Well, that's a good question. That particular image stayed with me. Others, I have to write them down or I'll forget them.
Because you carry a little notebook with you most everywhere.
Well, I
don't
used
you?
to. My handwriting is so bad now. I use my phone, dictate into my phone, and then hope that I can make out the translation of my dictation in my notes app. So I use the notes app a lot now.
Yep.
It's really important to do that because there's so many times where I had an idea and I thought it was really good, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember.
That's why I was asking. I think it's important to carry, if you want to be creative, carry something to put down your creative thoughts because they are very fleeting at times.
There are also times where I thought I had a really good idea. I wrote it down and went back and looked at it later and it was terrible.
Absolutely.
So just because if you forgot something and you think it was really important, it probably wasn't as good as you
probably, yeah. You
think it might have
probably
been.
had it over processed.
Yeah.
So in this story, they're preparing for what is it called?
The seizing.
The seizing. You
That's
had said
the supernatural.
You said they vanished, and I
phenomenon,
knew
yeah.
that wasn't it. But the
Yeah,
seizing.
the seizing.
One of the characters I like in this book, but also one of the characters I don't like in this book. It's all in the same. Is the teacher that is trying to prepare them. I don't know what you call that person in the story because
Her name is Hannah.
Well, I mean is she the protagonist? I don't know that stuff.
She's the protagonist.
She gets on my nerves, but at the same time, I can see myself being that person that's trying.
That's why she's bothering you.
Yeah. I can see that. She is an interesting character and plays a really important role.
Yeah, it's really her story. Although there are a lot of characters in this book that hopefully you will bond with. A lot of people really resonate with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
There's several boys in it, but two main boys, Bear and Hazak. And they're 12 years old, and it's their year to be seized, to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to run away. And a friend of mine did a review for the book. And he said, they remind me of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. He said, they run away and they're on a river. And I thought, that was probably down in my stew that I was talking about.
Unintended, but
never once thought about Mark Twain.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that they are as read as often as Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, but I really enjoyed. My son was 12, around that age when I started writing this, so he was a big inspiration for it. There's those boys are kind of composites of him. There are different parts of him in each one.
It was like I said, I've read it. I think I've read it twice now, and I've already got it set to download the Kindle onto my Kindle when it releases tomorrow.
Awesome.
I will be picking up a copy of it, but I really liked it. I look forward to reading it again because it's been, goodness, 2 years, a year and a half. So
The book has been done for a while.
Yeah.
Fairly done. There was some proofreading that needed to be done. But, I was trying to shop around for agents and publishers, and finally we just decided to let Riddle Creek publish this one.
The cover art on it is beautiful.
Cover art was done by my friend Beth Conklin. Beth is one of my fellow boxers in the PD Fight Club. And check her out on Instagram. She does some beautiful collage art. And the face of the woman on the cover, which is Hannah, the face is an actual vintage photograph from long ago. So there's some woman who's on my cover who has no idea.
Creepy.
It is. It's very creepy.
But perfect timing for the Halloween season because it's got a spooky, mysterious vibe to the book.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, really good book, though.
Well, thank you.
I'm excited about it. And I think if listeners, all you passengers, all 46 of you, let's push this to #1 on New York Times.
Please, please. And if you're in the Leeds area, I don't have a date yet, but we are doing a book signing at the Borough.
Oh, that's exciting.
So I'm working that out with Andy right now. We're gonna get a date together, and I'd like to do it on a weeknight, maybe like a Thursday night, something like that. And try to pack the store. I'd love to do that. Just kind of have a celebration.
And passengers, if you'll show up, we can pack the store.
That's right. Yeah, it's not a big store.
Oh. Well, I'm bringing a story tonight, Drew. A couple, because, we have carte blanche tonight because we're all in here by ourselves. Now, I feel like I have one of my parents here, so I will behave. But, I don't know if you've paid attention to the news over the last year, but planes seem to be falling out of the air a lot. There's been crashes. There's been parts falling off of planes. All the way around, there has been problems. And I found an article in the New York Post. When you're looking over there at the soundboard, it makes me nervous, like it's not recording.
No, it is.
Because we've had that before
I'm looking at all my sound options here.
Well, we've been 15, 20 minutes into this before and realized, we weren't recording. So I was just making sure. I panicked for a second.
No, we got it so far.
But this is an article goes back to September 11th of 2025, which is interesting. But the title of the article is Engineers Unveil Bonkers Prototype for Crash-Proof Plane Following the Air India Disaster that happened. They basically, and I'm not going to read the whole article because it's just absurd, but they are wanting to create airplane bags that are on the external fuselage of the airplane. And in a tragic event where the airplane is going to crash, the airbag, like your airbag in your car would do, would deploy and create a barrier of fluffiness around the fuselage of the airplane. They called it the Michelin Man-esque anti-crash concept, dubbed Project Rebirth. It's
Catchy
a finalist
title.
for an award that spotlights new inventions.
Is there an acronym for it or anything? Or
No,
is
no.
that
Not that I
how
see,
you refer
yeah.
to it? That paragraph that you just gave.
I'm reading it from here. It is an AI-powered crash survival system, and it deploys smart airbags as opposed to dumb airbags.
What AI is used?
I don't know. Impact absorbing fluids and reverse thrust midair, turning fatal crashes into survivable landings. And folks, if you need a chuckle, I encourage you to go online and look at some of the conceptual drawings. Here's one, Drew. This one is made of Kevlar and has...
it looks like it's wearing a Kevlar vest.
Or a swim float. I don't know.
Yeah, it is very swim floaty and not aerodynamic.
No.
So here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. You accidentally deploy this thing.
Yeah.
And then you will crash because that can't fly.
Or instead of hitting the ground once, you bounce like a ball.
Yeah.
I mean, multiple impacts to the ground. But it's an example of where people have these great conceptual ideas to To me, put a giant parachute on the thing. If it's going down, you pull the ripcord and parachute floats it back to Earth. I don't know. But anyway, it's one of those things that when you're searching for articles, you come across and you're like, I saved it in September. I need to save this so that I can go back and revisit it.
I appreciate the sentiment, but
Ain't nobody got time for that.
it's just not.
I would totally agree. I would say, as our good friend David Light would say, this is a little boola boola.
Boola boola, okay?
I don't know what that means. If a crash is unavoidable below 3,000 feet, which I'm thinking if an airplane, unless it's landing, if it's below 3,000 feet, you're getting pretty close to a crash. The
How in the round
airbags.
world are you going to accomplish that goal?
That's exactly
That's right.
is
The
how you're gonna do
airbags
it.
activate automatically, although the captain can still abort their deployment. Here's the problem with that. What if you're landing and they go off? Now your landing is going to be a very bouncy landing.
Mhm.
Anyway, I encourage people to go look up the rebirth system on these airplanes. It's
called the rebirth system.
if these two win this award, it's going to be announced November 5th. They will get around $40,000 and a chance to start their own business. Good luck to you folks. For $40,000, I don't think you could retrofit an airplane with airbags.
No, that's
Yeah.
not even going to buy the latex or whatever the thing's made out of.
You know, if you want to keep from hitting the ground in an airplane, don't get on an airplane.
yeah, that's
think-
surefire.
I think that works
surefire
every
way
time.
to do it.
And
That's
and
right.
don't be a band. If you're a band, fly on separate planes. I
Yeah.
beg you.
Let's not take the whole band out in one
No.
fell swoop.
Drew, I see you've got an envelope in your
Old-fashioned
hands.
mail bag here.
All
We
right.
have fan mail.
Oh, I love fan mail.
Fan mail addressed to the Passages podcast in care of Drew Kaiser. Came to my mailbox at home.
Okay, so it's someone that knows your home address.
Yes,
I'm narrowing
and
this
I will
down.
show you. It's fairly anonymous, but I want you to see the stationery. I think it's a clue.
Okay.
I'll save the signature for the end. There is a
Okay.
signature,
Okay.
which is familiar to us.
I'm looking at the handwriting on the envelope.
Yes. Very good penmanship.
Very neat.
Beautiful stationery, cardstock even.
Oh,
And
wow.
the font is as Donald Trump would say, the likes of which I've never seen.
I have to notice that the postmark on this
Yes.
is
it-
from another state.
And I believe that the person who addressed it did not anticipate that the postmark would be as clear as it is. There's no return address.
No, but if you know, you know.
And we'll get to that in a moment.
Mm.
But first, the letter. Dear Passages Podcast, this letter is concerning your recent episode on the subject of, you want to guess?
I have no clue.
Handkerchiefs.
Oh no, not another handkerchief.
We cannot outrun this handkerchief controversy we created.
One of the most old-fashioned things we've talked about on this show.
We have started something, a cultural phenomenon that I think we are winning. I think we're winning the fight.
I
do.
believe so.
So the letter continues. I too have a related story to recount to you regarding the aforementioned subject. One brisk March morning a few years back, I had my young infant in tow for a worship service. We had a large crowd that particular Sunday morning, and my children and I had to squeeze past a few guests to be seated. My baby was unfortunately under the weather that day with a cough and runny nose. Midway through the song service, the child sneezed, and a steady river of chartreuse ooze began flowing down his tiny face. So we have a well-educated person here who knows what chartreuse is, and this is a person with multiple children.
And an infant at some point in recent times.
Yeah, it says a few years
ago.
back.
Okay, we're narrowing
So
it down.
still has young children, I would believe. And a boy, because the chartreuse ooze began flowing down his tiny face. Being aware of societal disdain for the use of handkerchiefs, I opted instead to wipe his tender cheek with my hand, chilled though it was from the cold air. Upon feeling the shock of my cold hand on his face, the baby proceeded to shriek in a shrill cry. So loud was his wailing that my older son flung his hands to his ears, in the process knocking the coffee cup out of the hand of the older lady beside him. She was actually visiting our congregation for the first time, based on her disgusted look upon simultaneously noting my snot-covered hand and her once white dress now tarnished from the dark scalding liquid. I have my doubts that she will be returning to worship with us. New paragraph. Truthfully, the story did not play out exactly as described above. So this is very similar to the last letter we received.
It's got a very interesting
where we have
format.
a fictional account
That's right.
of representing our position that,
That's right.
that you should not have a handkerchief and what disasters would come from that, followed by the truth. This is the format. Truthfully, the story did not play out exactly as described above, but took a much brighter turn instead, due to my use of the velvety soft handkerchief in my bag. Carried along to soothe my child in the event of an untimely sneeze, the morning instead proceeded much more agreeably. My child never cried, but instead blissfully drifted off to sleep shortly after his facial cleaning, in the arms of the lady beside us, charmed by his smile. She became a faithful member of our church shortly after that fateful day. Hopefully, this tale will bring a fresh perspective on the practicality of the indelible handkerchief. Kind regards, A. Kaiser. Now,
it seems A. Kaiser is making his or her way around.
There, as we said the last time we received a letter from a different A. Kaiser, there are several possibilities.
Yeah.
There's my dad, Andy Kaiser, who we concluded must have written the last letter.
After follow-up discussions with Andy Kaiser, I believe that we have definitely confirmed.
We were correct.
Yes.
Now, there are other A. Kaisers. I have a brother named Ash Kaiser, who is the lead singer for Terraplane, who does the bumper music here, also the Bonus Point Band. We talk about him quite a bit. He has a son, Asa Kaiser.
I don't see either of them using cardstock beautifully drawn.
Doesn't seem to bear
stationery, though.
their marks. Yes.
No.
So I have a sister-in-law.
Oh.
Now, there's several things that point in her direction.
Yes.
One is she is very good with words. She's a good writer. And this was written by somebody who is quite the wordsmith.
Excellent writer.
Yes. Also, she is a graphic design artist.
Which makes sense.
This is
with
the most beautiful.
It is beautiful stationery.
Stationery. The font, she has a hobby of collecting fonts. She has more fonts than anybody I know. And this is a very special font. But the most incriminating evidence here is the postmark, which says North Texas.
And I would say the feminine handwriting.
Yes.
This leans towards someone who is a meticulous, like an artist. But I've seen all the Kaiser men write.
And
This
we would
is
never
not a
use,
Kaiser
what
man.
color is the ink there, Jason?
It's kind of a red. It would be
orange red?
or on an orange red.
Auburn, orange maybe.
Yeah.
It's not,
I was always taught to address envelopes in black or blue ink.
Right. A Kaiser man would use black or blue. So, Allison, we got you.
And
we got you.
I wrote down a few notes in rebuttal that I would like to bring up.
We get the last word. This is our podcast.
So if a child has a cough and runny nose to the point that a chartreuse ooze is coming out of both nostrils, it's time to stay home with the child.
What are you doing at church?
You should not at all bring that child and endanger the elderly members that he could get the chartreuse ooze on.
If you can see through a ladder, you can figure this out, okay?
Okay. Number two.
Yes.
You know how you can prevent a child knocking a coffee cup over during the worship service?
I have an idea.
No coffee cup.
Yeah.
Or put it in a giant Stanley cup with a screw-on lid.
How did the lack of a handkerchief become responsible for spilled coffee?
To me, it sounded like a child's very aggressive reaction is responsible for the spilled coffee. Or perhaps the dear sister that brought the coffee should be held responsible for the coffee. And then my third and strongest rebuttal, and this is going to very much end this discussion.
Yeah.
Drew, when you had a small child, and you had, I mean, Ava was a very small child at one point, and then you had Jack, who was once a small child, and you carried, they were small enough that you carried a bag, a diaper bag, perhaps. What did you call the cloth that was in the diaper bag that you would pull out to wipe up spit up and to wipe up boogers? Was that a handkerchief or was that a burp cloth?
Burp cloth. Very resilient.
Yeah.
Thick.
Absorbent. Soft.
Great for wiping noses.
We talked about handkerchiefs, which are booger rags that men, and I guess some ladies, fold back up and stick into a pocket.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a burp cloth here. So, hey, Kaiser, I have to disagree with your use of the term handkerchief. I would encourage you to go and look up the etymology of the handkerchief and the roots, and you will see what you described as a burp cloth.
Yeah.
Not a handkerchief.
We're not suggesting you burp your baby on a Kleenex.
No.
Or wipe its bottom with a Kleenex.
No, not at all.
We're suggesting that the handkerchief is not the tool to use for a grown man blowing his nose. Now, we have established that it is perfectly fine for wiping sweat.
Yep.
Maybe after a meal on the road, tidying up the mouth a little bit.
That is why we should all, I mean, I know I always have wet wipes available in case I need to do that. Also
Something
carry
disposable
Clorox wipes
is
in my truck at all times.
Yes.
Yeah. But what didn't happen here was after wiping the chartreuse bilateral stream that was flowing down the face, did that rag become folded again neatly and stuck in a pocket?
That detail was conveniently left out of the letter. What did you do, dear lady, with your nasty hanky? And quit calling it a handkerchief. It's a hanky.
And we all know that was technically a burp cloth. So I
feel that our case is still airtight.
Yes.
I don't think anybody can break the lockbox we have around.
Now the font, beautiful.
Argument. Beautiful letter.
Beautiful.
The writing, superb.
Also try not, when I'm writing a note, to deceive people with a story.
Yeah. That tactic has now been used twice. Yeah. I mean, this is
I guess some people are a little more comfortable with deceit than I am. I don't know.
So there are at least two more A Kaisers. And then if it's the article A, it could be any
of the
Kaiser.
Yeah.
So we may, and unfortunately, this is the only mail we get is hate mail over our position on handkerchiefs.
And I would state a correct position on handkerchiefs.
Yeah. We will not be intimidated. We will not be pressed into a corner.
No. We will stand resolute on this bastion of truth that is that handkerchiefs need to go away.
Yes.
The hanky should be like the dinosaur, extinct.
And that's our final word.
On to another topic, Drew.
Okay.
So I am a bit of a conspiracy theorist, but I'm not as bad as some people. Have you heard of alien comet?
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's awesome. That scared me to death.
Yeah, that came in a little strong. Okay.
Have you heard of the alien comet 3I Atlas that just swept past Mars? Just recently past Mars.
Yes. Tell me
okay.
the name of it again.
3I Atlas. 3I slash
3.
Atlas.
Uh-huh.
3 because it's the third. I interstellar, meaning it's outside of our galaxy.
Wow.
This is something that is
That is
outside the galaxy
fascinating.
that has come into our galaxy. And Atlas because I believe that is the research station or the scope that they've used to see it. This is 3I Atlas is what
And
it's
these
named.
comets don't get trapped in anybody's orbit. Somehow they
just continue to go right on through. I guess because of their speed. There has been a lot of hype and a lot of rumors about 3I Atlas. There are some saying it is an alien craft. They're saying that it's extra, well, it is obviously extraterrestrial because it's not of this world, but that it is not a natural occurring thing because of its speed, its changes of direction, its appearance. It will be at its closest point to us later this month in the end of October, where it will be around 200 million kilometers away from us.
will it be visible?
If you have a viewing scope potentially visible, it'll be somewhere around, you know how you look up into the night sky and you can see Venus? It's going to be somewhere around Venus, depending on which day it may be below or above Venus. But it's not going to be visible to the naked eye. They say you need a scope to see it. 200 million kilometers is about 124.3 million miles. This is a long way off. It's I guess in comet talk, maybe a close call. I don't know. But anyway, there is a lot of mystery behind it. There is a lot of conjecture and opinions. But I've found an article today that mentioned America's most renowned prophet. Drew, I don't know if you've ever heard of this man, but America's most renowned prophet made a startling prediction about 3I Atlas today. A Christian pastor who accurately foresaw the assassination attempt on Donald Trump 3 months prior has shared a new vision about a threat in the sky. Brandon Biggs is his name. And instead of me reading it, I sent you the soundbite. Let's just listen to what Brandon has to say about this.
Folks, we're having technical difficulties. Bear with me.
And it goes over the Mayan temples.
All right.
Saw these major alien ship, and it flies over the Vatican, and it goes over the Mayan temples down in Mexico. And I said, Lord, is there 2 of these? Because I keep praying about this. And he said, no, it's just one. And that's what's going to make everybody freak out because they're going to see it moving across the ocean. You understand? It's going to be something that's going to be on TV. It's going to move across the ocean. And people are going to freak out in the days ahead. Then I saw little bitty ships coming out of this mothership that were balls of light. And it wasn't a real ship. It was demonic looking light that was traveling around causing confusion in our skies. You say, Brandon, that sounds way out there. Yeah, it is. It was way out there to me. I didn't even want to talk about it. But I'm instructed to. You say, well, Brandon, that sounds like you're on something. Well, no, folks, I'm just here to warn you. I'm just here to warn you. And as wild out there as a sound, fearful sights you will see that will bring you to your knee. I'm here to warn you. The enemy is not playing fair with trying to deceive people.
All right, I think that's good enough.
Fearful sights you will see that will bring you to your knee.
So and according to the Daily Mail article, America's most renowned prophet has determined that the Atlas 3I he has seen in a vision. He's from Oklahoma, folks. I mean, say what you want, Oklahoma. I'm a little disappointed in you.
Oklahoma is not okay.
No, but he is saying that what is going to happen is that there's going to be a mothership that is seen over the Vatican and then the Mayan temples in Mexico, which is they're not geographically very close.
No. So I was a little confused.
Yeah,
for a minute I thought the Vatican was in Mexico, and then I realized that this thing was going to be moving.
Yeah. Now I don't know if it simultaneously happens or not, But he then talks about that there are multiple small ships that are going to be coming out of the mothership. And we were talking earlier about sometimes the things that you put into your mind, into your subconscious, will reappear.
Mm-hmm.
He should probably back away from sci-fi movies and maybe mushrooms. I recently listened to a podcast, audio book, I guess you would call it, an audio play that ended before it finished the story, and I'm not happy about that. But it was very much like this. It was an alien invasion, and never once have I thought that we're really about to be invaded by aliens. But he can predict the future, it seems.
And so Brandon Biggs is America's greatest,
most prominent
prophet, according to the Daily Mail, which is a UK paper. So this is what they see when they look at us.
Yeah,
is Brandon Biggs from Oklahoma.
I'm a little scared that he is a representative of people of faith. I have to admit it,
because he calls himself a Christian pastor
and a prophet.
And a prophet.
The prophet part's the part that kind of weirds me out a little bit. So.
Yeah, the whole thing weirds me out. I've heard this excitement over the comet as well. So does it not look like a usual comet? There's something about the tail seems hollow
kind of
or
a
something.
Teardrop shape. It's an unusual shape. I don't think it's putting out quite the tail that a comet would typically do.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it gets to be 124 miles away from us, I really don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm honest.
Well, if they're aliens and they're headed to Venus, they're not real smart.
No.
You know, they're probably, I mean, it takes a while to get here from another galaxy, so they probably died a long time ago, and the ship's just on autopilot.
And it may be the dad driving the ship, and he's just afraid to stop and ask for directions. He's just lost. Doesn't want to get out of that. He
just want his wife sitting there with her tentacles crossed, and she's you know, just waiting for him to finally admit he was wrong.
Their little GPS is saying like that. I think that's what it says for turnaround. Yeah. It's very interesting. But if that's what is a representation of the quote unquote religious people of America, we're doomed.
We are. Well, speaking of that, we have a bad preacher, and we're just going to do a bad preacher and a say what.
Yeah.
Since it's just the two of us, and we have the
night is still young,
the material, Drew. And we're having fun. So stay with us. We'll be right back with a bad preacher.
You never talk about it. You're such a mission girl, and I got nothing to give. Is it a phase of the real you? So don't become what you always do, girl. Is it a phase of the real you? Is it a phase of the? Is it a phase of the? I want the real you.
It's time for another bad preacher.
Bad preachers. Put your hand on that telephone.
And you wouldn't go about establishing your own kingdom in the video room.
Can I be hot with y'all? Humble, open, and transparent.
Could it be?
Before we jump into bad preacher, I have been using humble, open, and transparent in a lot of conversations lately. I said,
"Can I be hot with y'all?"
I said it in a meeting the other night. I said, "Let me be hot with y'all," and I said, "Humble, open, and transparent." And the guffaw that came from the room was exactly the reaction I was looking
That's
for.
so good.
I go to that phrase way more than I should. Oh. So let's set up this bad preacher.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were yawning and I
couldn't
zoned
talk
out.
in a yawn. What happened there?
So this bad preacher I found, and he is having a little rant about what I would say is kind of the role, the relationship between the husband and wife and church and the home And when I heard it, it made me uncomfortable, which made me think this is perfect for Bad Preacher.
I thought maybe we could get some marriage advice from this guy. You don't think that he will be leading us in the right direction?
I think let's listen to it, and then you can ask that question again. I think you'll have your answer.
Well, let's keep an open mind, shall we?
And when his little wife starts complaining about everything going on, because that's where the problem starts. Men, listen, most men come to church and sit down in the pew and half listen and half take a break from their wife to begin with. Most men are not going to get mad in church because they're not even fully there. They're just taking a break from loudmouth. You think that ain't true? That's true. And when you get home and your wife starts talking to you about moving your membership, and I can't stand how Brother Mike is, or I can't stand how Brother Allen is, and I wish he'd do it this way. Listen, even if she's right, got faults. The preachers that pastor most churches around this country have faults. But it'd be a good idea when your wife starts that, I just don't like this, I just don't like that, for you to turn around and look her right in her God-given eyeballs and say, shut your mouth. Just shut up. That'll help your house recover. That'll help your house cover. That'll help your home.
No, it's not going to help your house recover.
I will ask you, do you think that was good marriage advice, Drew? No.
It was so bad.
That's during, I mean, you can see, you're watching the video of it. We don't have Patrick's magic to put it on the screen up here, but that is during worship service. That's like Sunday morning worship service. He's got his suit on like he likes it. He's a little sweaty up there pacing back and forth.
Oh man, I've never seen anybody pace.
No.
And pacing makes you think just in a line back and forth, but he's walking all over the room, up and down the aisles, getting right in people's faces. And they're all laughing awkwardly like what he's saying is funny. And it's not
and to
funny
me, it's
at all.
just uncomfortable. And he said that men come to church to get a little break from loudmouth. Now, Drew, if you were to say to your wife of many years, you know, honestly, I've been struggling at church. I kind of just come here to get a break from your loud mouth. How quickly would you be knocked back onto the floor? I'm thinking that would be kind of rough. I know at my house, I would be ducking and dodging because Cassie's known to throw things when she's angry.
She would quit talking. That's for sure.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to. Do you think she'd be looking out the window as y'all went to lunch to eat lunch?
She'd
after
be
service?
climbing out of the window.
Yeah, you'd get the silent treatment.
That would be the last conversation I'd ever have with her.
So can you imagine getting home? And his advice was, and this is his advice, if your wife starts talking about the worship, the church, maybe we should think about changing things. You should look her in her God-given eyes, as I quote, her God-given eyes, and say, shut your mouth. Shut up. That's not good advice.
Nah, we're not going to invite him to the next marriage retreat.
Let's not even invite him to do like a Wednesday night Devo.
No.
I heard that and I was like,
I wouldn't invite him to watch the parking lot after.
Think about what posture do you think his poor wife takes most of the time? Do you think he's just blustering here? Is that just
to see
he's bloviating?
An actual interaction between him and his wife?
Oh man,
it's horrible.
Could you imagine him standing up front here saying that? Some of the reactions he would not get a lot of handshakes after the church.
I think people would walk out. I think most
really
audiences. Now, obviously, this audience is accustomed to this kind
They've
of thing.
been
They all look
conditioned
very
to it.
relaxed.
They're very conditioned to it. But I was just blown away by his response.
Terrible.
And the
and
fact
we've seen
that
this kind of disdain for women in other fundamentalist preachers. I think this is something they learn.
It's just crazy.
And
though.
I look at guys like this, and my thought is they're putting on an act, and they don't really believe anything that's coming out of their mouths. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion.
And if they do believe it, they're very weak people, weak men.
Yeah, I think he's copying somebody he saw.
I just cannot.
Playing a role that he thinks he's supposed to play. There's no way he really thinks this is true.
The record scratch that I would hear if someone said that up front. Oh my goodness, it would be so funny. That is, I just heard, it takes a lot for me to hear something and think, oh, that's really uncomfortable, and probably my wife would beat him up.
Yeah.
That one would have got him.
That's a little fella. Cassie could take him, no problem.
Look, I'm a big fella, and I'm terrified of her. So I mean, anyway,
I'm not crossing her.
I just thought that was a good example. And I never heard one scripture. Not one scripture.
Oh no,
he didn't. I don't even know that
you're
he
not
was
gonna
carrying
find
his
that in the
around.
Bible.
Yeah, no
way.
scripture there. Yeah.
Well, we've got a new segment, and it's called.
Say what?
We're gonna do that now. We have this clip about, and it ties into the Bible. So we thought you would enjoy this.
And bear with us, the background music where we pulled this clip, it's a little loud, but if you listen, you will ask yourself, say what? Maybe.
Something that really blows your mind.
Yeah.
If you look at Genesis chapter 1, he says you shall have dominion over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air.
The fowl?
Yeah, which is the birds of the air.
Yeah.
And then he says every creepeth thing.
Fowl?
So people would always ask, like, why did God say specifically those animals? When I read in context, you can see that fish are and birds have something that's really different and unique than other animals. They have two birds. So they have the egg, and then the bird will, it'll crack and come out. Fish is caviar, yeah. And then they'll swim out, right? So
That's beautiful.
Human beings need two birds too, essentially. We're born once and then we're reborn in the spirit. And then birds, what's beautiful about them is they can defy gravity, meaning they can go against the flow. Fish can swim upstream, also go against the flow. And when we're born again, we can go against the flow of the world. So that's why he says,
Mic drop.
That's bars.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not that impressive.
They're idiots.
I don't even know where to start with these guys because they're
first
so
of all,
impressed with themselves.
Guy has got to go.
And the guy, when the other guy who has a neck tattoo and like a face tattoo.
Not that there's anything wrong with tattoos.
Well,
face
keep
and
them
neck,
off your
little
face.
weird. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong. It's just don't do it.
As the only inked member of the podcast that I know of, I will say we're not bashing. I mean, you might have a little one on your tushy or something.
Never
We don't know,
my friend.
No.
What was
Because I change in the stall when we're at the gym.
The beige flag.
The beige flag.
So when he says fowl of the air, the other guy, the guy goes, foul? He doesn't know what foul means. So we're already starting off there. And then they compare an egg to a birth. As they say, fish and fowl have two births.
They egg.
There's the caviar. He doesn't say egg, he says caviar.
Yeah. They lay the egg,
which is the only experience of fish eggs he's ever had, probably.
Yeah.
Something out of a jar.
Something hatches out of the egg. So that's his two births.
And that's supposed to be like us.
Yeah.
But I don't hatch out of an egg, figuratively, spiritually, or actually.
Well, I like that he talks about, when he reads the passage or he quotes it, and he's quoting it, I'm guessing out of the King James, fish, fowl, and he very quietly says, and creeping things. And then he goes and talks about the two births that the fish and the fowl have, but he never talks about the creeping things. Snakes lay eggs. It could.
Well, I was thinking, what about the reptiles, the amphibians, the platypuses?
He totally platypi, I believe.
Platypi.
Yeah, he totally skipped the creeping things. And then when I think it can get no worse, and birds, they defy gravity. And fish swim upstream to go against the flow.
But that's just salmon, right? Is that all fish? Is that a fish thing or a salmon thing?
And is he technically defying
Tim,
gravity?
Is it salmon or salmon?
It depends on if it's fried with cowboy beans. If it's fried with cowboy beans, it's salmon. If you're eating it at a nice restaurant, it's salmon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but first of all, if a bird stops flapping its wings, what happens to it, Drew? It falls. It'll
That
glide
is-
for a little bit, but as it glides, it's descending because of gravity. He's not
And so
defying gravity.
what does he say that, how does that connect to human beings who are supposed to?
Because they're going against the flow.
We go against the
We
flow.
go against the flow.
So he uses the metaphor to explain the meaning, which means nothing. We're supposed to go against flow.
I mean, they're going against
The
the
flow of what?
I don't know.
What flow? Culture, probably. Excuse me.
I have no idea. But his logic is
wow,
illogical.
And just the overall.
I haven't seen it. I gotta come over here and look at it.
They're so impressed with themselves. I'll just.
If you want something that really blows your mind, if you look at Genesis chapter 1, he says, "You shall have dominion over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air."
So
yeah,
yeah,
which is
the fowl.
birds of the air.
Yeah, I see
And then
it
he
now.
says every creepeth thing.
That was a totally
People would always
confused
ask,
look.
like,
The
why
fowl?
did God say
The fowl?
specifically those
Birds,
animals?
dude.
When
He's
read
talking
it,
about
you can
birds.
See that fish are very.
Oh, that is. Now I'm gonna say the neck work on that tattoo. The lines are really clean. It's a good look. The little thing on the face I could do.
He
without.
doesn't have much canvas left.
Yeah.
He's starting on the face now.
Oh man,
it's time to draw the line in the proverbial sand.
So I want to go back to the two birth thing.
Yeah. There's one more thing I want to say about it too. Go ahead.
Is pushing an egg out a birth, or is it just preparing? I mean, when you say it's
No.
it's you're laying an egg, and then out of the egg comes the little bird or the little fish.
Yeah, birds and fish and reptiles aren't born, are they?
And I'm pretty sure once you
birth is a mammal thing.
I think caviar is what you eat. Aren't fish eggs called rye? Or hang on a second. There's a name for
not
fish
rye.
eggs.
It's
a word, something like that. Hang on.
Roux. I'm gonna quick guess.
Roe. We're all over it.
Roe.
Micro. I have to remember that. I'll remember it from now on. Micro is the full ripe egg, which they and we just call it.
We're giving this way too much
Did he say
credit.
caviar with his pinky up? I didn't see it in the video.
No.
Okay, what were you gonna say?
Just let's take a step back and notice that he's pulling from Genesis chapter 1 a couple of examples and saying all along God meant that to refer to the new birth in Christ and going against the flow.
Whoa.
Yeah, at the end, they're like celebrating this discovery they've made.
That's the deepest thing I've heard yet. Oh, that's just look.
This is the problem with the internet.
So there's a podcast that you and I both have listened to over the last at least couple of years.
Yeah,
and they say all the time, everyone has a podcast.
Yes.
This is the problem when everyone has a podcast,
and it's the only reason we're on the air. I know this, but there's no vetting. Anybody can put anything out, and they just take themselves so seriously.
And the sensational reactions to these comments, other than foul.
Who gave that guy Mike?
Birds.
See.
Oh, that's.
I was looking for the.
Did he really?
Oh, whoops.
If you want something that really blows your mind,
See, this is why we need. This is why we need Patrick. I'm just fumbling around here.
It is impressive the level, the way he can smoothly transition. He does make it look
He
easy.
rarely makes a mistake.
Well,
So
partly because he's AI driven.
yes, you may be right. You may be right. All right. Well, we got a good passage for tonight, so we'll save a little time for that. We'll come back after the break.
In this town, in this town, in this town, in this town,
All right, we're back with our passage for the night, and we didn't just pull one this time off of Pinterest or Goodreads or one that we liked. I've been reading a book called Permission to Feel by Marc Brackett, and he is a PhD, I believe, with Yale, and he does a lot of emotion research and talks a lot about feelings. And this is a book, Permission to Feel. And as I was reading this, I came across this quote, and to me, it just resonated, and it's something that I needed to hear. And I thought if I needed to hear it, maybe others did too. So the quote is, "Be the learner, not the knower, and listen to understand, not to build your own argument." And I'll read it one more time in case my ADD friends like myself are out there and zoned out for a second. Be the learner, not the knower, and listen to understand, not to build your own argument. And the reason this resonates to me is I am one that tends to always be trying to think ahead of how I'm going to respond. I am not one that's going to sit back and try to actively listen and understand, to learn from someone else with what they're saying. I am more of the one that is the knower. I know how to fix this. I know how to argue against it. I'm here to win the argument. And in context, he's talking about this in response to talking to your family. Mostly in this chapter was to your children, about how to respond when they are having emotional outbursts, when they are facing a hard situation, trying to explain it to you. And he's basically telling you with your family ways to kind of diffuse that, understand, be a role model. His first point in this one is like, set yourself up for success. He says, he calls it a meta moment, just to kind of take a deep breath, let yourself calm before you jump in. Because I'm a very reactive person. If you come at me with something, an emotion that makes me uncomfortable, I immediately become defensive and start trying to diffuse the situation. That's just historically how I've always been. And in this situation, he's saying that when your child or your spouse is coming to you and they're in a very hyper emotional state, to not assume you know what's going on, to not start coming up with an argument to go against what they're saying, but just to be quiet, listen, and learn. And he has this next piece that says, remember that the behavior is a symptom. So if they're acting out of anger or their behavior is very volatile, he's saying to remember that the behavior is a symptom. It's not the emotion. The emotion is what's maybe stirring that behavior. But the emotion itself is not, emotion's not necessarily a bad thing. Emotion is inert. It can cause bad behaviors, but our emotions are real. They're what we feel. And we are allowed to have emotions, but they're not always true. Emotions can be kind of...
you can't trust them.
You can't trust them, that's right.
So I was thinking, this quote got me thinking, have I ever won an argument? Has there ever been an issue that I felt strongly about in one direction, the other person felt very strongly in the other direction? We had a conversation, and at the end, I was right, the other person was wrong, and the other person said, "You've convinced me."
Yeah.
The guy at the table with the sign that says some statement, and it says, "Convince me that I'm wrong." Does that guy ever get convinced?
No.
We talk about this a lot on social media. Don't take the bait when somebody's putting out something controversial and trying to stir things up, because no argument is ever won on social media. I don't think arguments are ever won. I don't know. They say this about debates, that you get two guys up debating an issue, and at the end, nobody ever walks over to the other one and says, "I concede.
Yeah.
You're right.
You just wore me out. I'm done."
The hope is that somebody in the audience hears both sides and is able to make a judgment, but a lot of those people have already made up their mind. It's very hard to change a mind. And it's not done in one conversation. So what I'm getting around to is agreeing with the passage and saying, would listening maybe be a better strategy? What are you doing when you're listening to the other person? You're valuing that person. You're telling that person they are worth your time. Their ideas are important.
Mm-hmm.
You dignify those ideas. And then maybe you're opening the door for them to want to know what you think.
Yeah, to have a back and forth conversation and not a back and forth argument.
Over time.
Yeah, not necessarily in that moment. A lot of times, and what this book talks about is a lot of times when people, especially children, are hyper emotional in their behavior. So I was a pretty angry teenager, and most of it is because I don't really enjoy feelings. I don't enjoy emotions. I have them. I think I'm starting to discover I'm a very, very sensitive, emotional person who has over the years pushed a lot of those things down. And because of that, I met most emotional situations with anger, either with anger or rage or something like that, because it was just, I didn't know how to deal with it. So in this book, it's talking about when you've got a child and you have children. We've had those moments where our kids are hyper emotional about something and they are just on a rage and there's nothing we can do to calm them down. And he's saying, instead of trying to assume you know what they're going through, instead of trying to come up with how am I going to diffuse this by arguing them out of this emotion. I'm going to prove to them how wrong their emotion is and how wrong their behavior is by being argumentative. He's saying, just sit back and listen. Just sit back and learn. Try to gain their perspective. Take a second and try to understand where they're coming from, because children learn to be emotional by mimicking their parents. Like my kids, when they get really emotional, especially my youngest one, when he gets really emotional, he and I are cut from a very similar cloth. He goes to anger. It's uncomfortable. He doesn't like it. He's very short, very snippy. And that's how I get when I'm emotional. I get very uncomfortable. I start getting short and I get snippy. And he's mimicking behavior he's seen from me and how I responded to him when he was emotional. And so we learn by watching and mimicking our parents. And sometimes the best way to diffuse that situation is just to sit down, shut up, and listen, and try to learn
like the bad
and
preacher
understand.
says to do.
Except
you do yourself what the bad preacher was telling his wife to do.
Yeah, but I would never tell my wife to sit down and shut up.
No, you tell yourself that.
Yeah.
That's the way you do it. I think it's very interesting when you look at how Jesus interacted with people, how much he listened to others.
Mm-hmm.
The problem we have, especially with children, but with anybody, is we are so sure we are right. We don't give the other person the time to air out their thoughts. When people are talking, they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think out loud. It's a good way to think through a situation, is to talk it through. You don't let them think because you already know the answer. Well, Jesus was omniscient. He did know all the answers, and he still let other people talk. Two examples I think of are the Samaritan woman and Zacchaeus.
Mm-hmm.
Samaritan woman in John 4, she does as much talking as he does. And this is in a society, the disciples marveled that he was talking to her at the well. It was not permissible for Jewish men to be talking to Samaritans, let alone Samaritan women who were alone without their husbands or sons or whatever. He was sitting down listening to her. She was the one that brought up the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one that recognized he was a prophet.
Mm-hmm.
He never said, I'm the Messiah, I'm a prophet. She put that together by his listening to her talking. And then Zacchaeus is the same way. He says a few things. Zacchaeus was there to hear his teaching, of course. But Zacchaeus is the one who, without Jesus telling him, you're a thief and you need to repay people what you stole, Zacchaeus offers up that he will restore fourfold whatever he's stolen. And I just think that's fascinating that the all-knowing Son of God listened to people, and he's showing us how we ought to behave. No one has ever been more influential than Jesus. And he listened.
As you were talking about those two, I was listening, but I also thought of the rich young ruler that came to him and said, Lord, what must I do to be saved? And he says, instead of just telling him the answer, he asked him a question. He says, well, what does Scripture say?
Yeah.
And it was another chance where he could have just said, well, follow the commandments. But he asked questions. And so often you hear Jesus asking questions, and that's the learning side of it. That's I'm gaining perspective. And a lot of times the questions, Jesus knew the answers, but he was asking those questions to get the person, the individual, to think and give them time to figure things out instead of giving them the answer. And that's, I don't know, I'm bad to be thinking about how I'm going to respond the whole time somebody's talking to me about something. I'm not actively listening. I'm actively preparing my rebuttal. And that gets
you
you
miss
into
a lot when
trouble.
you're doing that.
Yeah,
One thing
you
I've
do.
noticed listening back on the podcast, you have to do that in the podcast because you don't want a whole lot of dead air. Like we've had a few of those moments tonight. And so I'll listen back and I'll hear you guys say things listening back that I didn't realize you said when I was in the room, you know, especially when there are four of us in here.
Yeah.
It gets pretty chaotic in here. One more thing I wanted to add about God and Jesus is this is what prayer is all about. The omniscient God telling us, I've said my piece. It's in my word. Now, you talk to me. And for the last 2,000 years, he has listened to us. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I just think we're very quick to prove our points right, to win an argument instead of looking for a solution for the problem. I'm quick to want to solve something, try to fix it, try to get it right, try to prove that your idea of the way you're doing it is dumb. And by trying to win a discussion, win an argument, I'm doing nothing to help you or to help me because there's no growth in that. There's only growth when you are both working towards a common goal. And in the church, we're all working towards the common goal. We may have some disagreements about things, but if we start, that's why church is split, is because they have arguments they can't settle between one another. They got somebody trying to win and somebody that is feeling like they're not winning. And they instead of working towards that common goal and learning and listening and understanding, they just say, well, that's fine. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go start my own work and you can't come. And that's a scary thing. It's when communication breaks down is when we don't listen and when we don't learn.
I've heard it said they're talking past one another.
Yeah.
Two people talking past one another, or two people having two different conversations. And I've been involved in that, and I've seen that many times, and it's unproductive. It creates a lot of that negative emotion. And it happens a lot with parents and kids because as Christ was smarter than anybody he came into contact with, parents are smarter than their children, at least at first. And so it's hard to sit and listen to your teenager lecture you.
It really is sometimes. But a lot of times those lectures they're bringing are are not coming from a place of they want to be argumentative. It's coming from a place of hurt or discomfort, and they're responding to it in the way they've seen you respond to those same things.
Yeah.
That's what's hard is you as my kids have gotten older and I see them mirroring some of my behaviors and mannerisms and words, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I should have really been guarding my mouth, guarding my actions a lot more closely, or at least being more cognizant of the example I was setting, both good and bad. But it is pretty, I mean, you and I have kids that are pretty close in age. It's a little scary sometimes to see them react in a way and you're like, oh, wow.
I taught them that.
That is how I react to things.
Yeah.
It's kind of that same feeling you get as a young man when you say something to your kids and you're like, sound like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you learn that behavior from them. I mean, it's a scary thing. I don't know. If you have young children, make a lot of time for them, listen to them, learn from them. Don't make the same dumb mistakes we've all made with ours.
Yeah. What's the name of the book again?
Permission to Feel. Really good book.
Permission to Feel.
I actually knocked it out last night. I get to start a new one tonight. I'm excited.
Well, if you're looking for a book to start, let me recommend Out of the Thicket. Once again, it releases tomorrow as of the recording of this podcast, October the 16th, 2025. Get it on Amazon or Riddle Creek Publishing. Hey, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Hopefully next week we'll have the whole gang back and hear about what's been going on in their lives. We'll always have another passage waiting for you. There's more to come. Stay with us on Passages.